Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. I got a very special one for y'all today. Can I show y'all something real quick? Look at that. That's my view right now, y'all. Look at God, man. Look at God. Speaking of, y'all, today's video is about that. Today's video is about when God, source, universe, spirit, all that is calling you closer. And there's a reason why I said these different aspects, these different names, because when the universe, spirit calls you closer and invites you to getting to know it, getting to know it at a deeper level, then be prepared for change. Be prepared for skin to shed, and be prepared for you to experience life in a way that you didn't previously to that encounter. Let me just say this. I know a lot of my family, and I'm not gonna just say my family, but sometimes people have this, people question me all the time because I know that people can see a radiance on me and they can see that spirit, they can see that spirit of God on me. And they ask me this question, they ask me like, what church you go to? I know you probably get that all the time. And I'm not saying nothing is wrong with church. I'm not saying, let me just put that out there right now, because I mean, sometimes that's exactly where I meet God. Sometimes that's exactly where the spirit is leading me at that time, and where God wants me to get the message. All right. However, what I feel that people do is they put God into this box. They put God in spirit, in the universe, in source, in truth, and all that is. And I'm saying all these different names and aspects and dimensions of what I'm speaking about God. Whether you experience it, how you experience it is how you experience it. But I see them all as synonymous. I do see them as different accents, maybe different dimensions and experiences and maybe perspectives of the same thing, but ultimately I feel that it's the exact same thing. When it calls you closer, it may be scary. It may be a moment where you're questioning it. You're like, man, so many people only have one concept of God, and they only see the entity aspect of God. Like, God is up there looking down on me, guiding me through blessings. Or some people who I think are of a more mature understanding will see God as God is within me. But that's still, the personified aspect. But nonetheless, it's at least acknowledging that there's not such a separation. It's not dividing. You're not dividing yourself from what it is. But I'm making this video to say, like, if you were born in a Christian family, or you Christian, or you, like, let's say you started with the Bible. Like, I'll just say with me, I started with the Bible. I started in a Christian family, like I mentioned earlier in my videos. And I'll say this, I was very earnest. I wanted to know. I had so many questions for God. And then I was, getting this word like, don't question God. Don't question God. It's wrong to question God. So naturally, I was so curious. I'm such a curious person. I want to know. I want to understand. I felt so much guilt, at the beginning of my life, because I was so earnest. I was like, I want to do the right thing, but how? God, I don't understand this. Why is this fucked up person doing all this messed up stuff got all this wealth, and then we got this person over here who's sad. I mean, who's so kind, but they always sad. Like, they give the shirt off their back, but they always sad. And you know, I went through stages where I was I was upset with God. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, I'm not feeling this. I never really got to the point where I, you know, that's not true. It's not true. I say, let me finish my thought. I didn't get to the point where I was just like, fuck God or nothing. You know, but I was angry to the point where, and I think, and don't get me wrong. I don't think that's as bad as people make it. And I have the bravery and authority to say that because I have a relationship with what I'm speaking about, with God, with truth, with source, with spirit. I have the authority to say those things because I've been down through there and I've answered this call. What I'm getting at is sometimes because you have been doing things correctly or God finds favor in you, God starts to find his favor. You know, people get the introduction mixed up with the essence. You may have had to get introduced to God through Christianity. You may have had to get introduced to what is or nirvana through Buddhism or Judaism or Catholic, or you may have had to, you know what I'm saying? It's different ways that it's introduced, and you may be following a certain line of thinking, a certain mode, you know, of thinking of what God is. But at some point, if you're earnest and you're true within your relationship, you will start getting to some points where there's contradictions and things are starting to look crazy, and you don't trust God as much as you want to. And I'm so reluctant to use God sometimes, the word God, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a word. It's a word. What we're referring to is something way more vast, something way more rich, something way more powerful, mighty, and even like it's not just big, it's even small. You know, we limit God too much. We live in what God is. Like, it's something so tiny that it's quiet. It whispers, and it's not only the gravity that keeps the planets together. It's also the little silent energy that you can't even detect. That's making every little all trillion or however many cells we got in our body work and function. It is the breath that you are breathing. It is the control of that breath. Yes, we don't understand everything, but sometimes you get a call to understand when you're earnest and you want to get to know, aka when you want to align. Then God will call you, and sometimes that call is not pleasant. Sometimes that call comes in the form of your faith is disturbed. You're not feeling this church anymore that you at. You're not feeling this particular preacher that you at. Your line of thinking, you're starting to feel like you don't trust yourself. You don't trust the people around you. Some people are questioning their whole essence. They like, maybe I'm just a demon because I'm not fucking with this no more. But they don't realize that's a call that's happening. God is calling you closer. And as you get closer, some of the ideas that we have of what God is starts to drop. It's a veil that starts to drop. God starts to show you something. You know, as you develop that relationship, that's when you can start, like some people call it witchcraft. But people don't even realize the same thing that we call in the devil and we call him witchcraft sometimes is God in another form for someone else. Maybe someone who's more mature or further down the ascension path or the enlightenment path than you are. But it may not be time for that person to see certain things. It's like it's such a beautiful order and a beautiful harmony. But sometimes God calls you to see something, expose what lightens your eyes to something where you thought it was demonic perhaps, or you thought it was chaotic, or you thought it was not of God, and God shows you, no, that was me. You know, that was me. There's a method to this. but only for those who earnest enough. And like, we judge God, bro. People don't even realize they doing it. We judge God. We put God in a box. We make God. We put God up against ourselves, the universe. Because sometimes, and the reason why I use different terms is because sometimes, like, people have the word God. People have used that word in not only in vain. They've used that word to destroy other things. They use that word to violate people. They've used that word to enslave people under the guise that this is what God wants. And and sometimes when I'm talking to God, I can't talk to that mode. I can't talk to that mode. I can't address God as the personified. Sometimes I have to address God as the spirit that is not bound or limited to good and bad. The spirit of its duality. When I speak about the physical God, like God exemplified in the universe, this is still God. We get too big in ourselves and in our head, and we make these groups of people who have these ideas that it's just basically masterminding, to the point where, because there's so much validation amongst each other, they get bigger than the true relationship. Have a relationship with it. I'm not knocking going to church, because I'm not knocking anything, because one thing that, as I develop my relationship with God and as I get closer to God, what I realize is that when you make space for God, God makes space for you too. One of the biggest, in fact, God makes space for us without us even making space for it, for him, for her, for them. Yes. And I already know this is an act of bravery and courage, and I thank God for once again, the authority to be able to speak about these things. But you have things that God endowed you with. God calling you to certain things. Spirit is calling you to certain things. The universe is calling you to certain things. The universe is putting certain things in your reality. As you start to get a relationship with it, and your relationship may not be the same as somebody else's, but it knows. He knows. She knows. Mother Earth. Spirit. They know. They. How can God become a they? Why can't God be a they? As more beings align with what is, and more beings recognize thyself, to know thyself is to know God, as you start to shed that individuality, now, God, I am your eyes over here in the south side, baby. They know. He knows. Man, that's a deep conversation, but if God is calling you, sometimes you're gonna have to take a brave path. You're gonna have to leave that church. You're gonna have to leave that relationship. You're gonna have to be mad at God. You're gonna have to go through that. You're gonna have to, because God is calling you to not just be obedient. God is calling you truth. God is making space for you so that God can reveal to you. God can get closer so you can be in alignment and understand. Think about it. It would be wrong for a kid to be smoking some weed, like a 7-year-old just sitting in the living room. Just, you come in there, you expecting to ask them about their homework, they just blowing one. For those who sensitive, excuse my example. For those that still rocking with me, and this is intentional, but they just blowing one. It's like, bro, what the? If you don't even have the words, but if a grown adult, is blowing the same weed, it's the same action, but it's different circumstances that makes it different. God will reveal certain things to you that other people are not gonna get because they're not ready. God is gonna God is giving many people calls. And I think the universe and God and the spirit, I think it's patient. It is the epitome of patience, because I don't think it charges you for not answering the call. It's like in your own due time. Yet it's still gives you grace. It's still giving you grace, and grace is not only positive or pleasant. Let me just say pleasant. Because some grace, sometimes if you bumping your head up against the wall and you destroying yourself, and that's all you know, sometimes the grace is to still give you a little bit of that so that you can function, but also take the, you know, take the vibrancy away from it in a sense. So I don't want to get too convoluted. This could go many places, Lord knows, but if spirit is calling you, is God calling you, like divination, different thing. There's so many aspects. God is so rich and abundant that, you know, don't let a book or a certain movement that was put here to take a person from blindness, complete blindness, to an opening, an initiation that there is something greater, to make you lose sight of that something greater, having that relationship, you having that personal relationship with that thing that's greater. I promise you, man, it's not what people think. It's not about being perfect. You are made by design, purposely, intentionally, flaws and all. Even if you think you fucked up, you don't know the grand scheme of things for you to say that you fucked up. Who are you to say that before you have made that connection? So I know this message here is gonna challenge some people, but it's right on time for others. And you who is right on time for you, if you find yourself mad at God, don't understand, you hurt by things that you feel like God allowed to happen in your life, this is the perfect time for this. It could be exactly what's happening. You're being called to a deeper relationship, and you're gonna have to trust in yourself. But the good thing is, he, she, it, they, it's in there. It's in the place that you're running to, and it's in the place that you're running from. All you have to do is decide, and it's okay if you don't. You know, it's okay if you don't. I mean, I think, you know, it's so beautiful. I feel like it makes space for all things. It makes space for all things, and I'm aware that I fit this category right now. God is calling me to know something, to know it in a way that I have not experienced it before, and I have said yes. You know, so what does that mean? Like, you know, that relationship, God show you something. Who are you? You know what I'm saying? Who are you when you're rocking with somebody? Do you hide? Do you act like when other people come and be like, hey, that shit fake, ain't it? Do you like sell a person out? Or you like say, yeah, that shit fake, but then go secretly worship? I mean, I'm a soldier, bro. I'm a gangster for God. I'm not a gangster for the streets. It's like my pops did that, or even other ancestors. It's like it's something in me that it's like I don't be focused on you niggas. I don't be focused on the streets and trying to up one with these cats. I feel like I've been a champion before. It's your spirit. Some of y'all old souls out there, we'll talk about that another time. That's a topic for another conversation. But I feel like I done been a champion. I done been out here. I done played these games, and that's in my spirit. There's nothing mentally that could make me be like, nigga, you ain't it. I mean, I have been through some things in this life that has revealed that. But you know, it's championing yourself. Once you beat yourself, man, there's nothing can mess with you. And once you overcome yourself, once you are out of the way, there is something there. There is something there that still remains. And it is you before you even knew what you was. And it can never leave. This message is for everybody. But it may not be time for everybody to understand it. But either way, God, I thank you for giving me the strength, the courage, bravery, and authority to speak this. And I pray that you receive this. And if you are being called to a closer relationship, it's the greatest thing ever. It may not feel like it for a time, but I promise you, if you just stay with it, stay with it, stay with it. And staying with it do look like falling sometimes, but if you just stay with it, I mark my words, mark my words, you're gonna be unrecognizable in a good way, in a high way. And more importantly, that relationship that you're gonna have with God, with your source, true confidence, true peace. That being said, a little bit of a longer message today. It's cool. Today might be a hard day, a rough day. It might be a great day. You might be barely making ends meet, or you might be at the pinnacle of your success. Either way, the greatest place that you could come from is right where you are. Not perfect, just real. Alright? Man, I appreciate y'all again, man. Love y'all. Stay peaceful, stay abundant, stay prayed up, stay true, and stay you. That's the message for today, man. If y'all appreciated the message, let me know, man. Go ahead and smash that like button. And if you're new here, I'm D Hemp. If you watched the video to this point, I'm D Hemp. Go ahead and subscribe. I got videos coming out at this point every day. And I'm on a roll with it. I'm feeling it. There might be a point where I stop doing them every day, but you know, every day I got videos coming out. So yeah, man, go come in here and get some of these good old positive energy, upliftment, and lighting words. You know, this was a gift that God endowed me with, so I wanna share it, and I wanna encourage and inspire you to share your